What do you think when you hear the word trauma? Many thoughts or visualizations may come to mind, such as a bodily injury, physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, or natural disasters. Although you may be aware of how complicated trauma can be, many don't fully realize how they have experienced trauma in the past or how prior events can continue to impact life in the present. In fact, exposure to something significantly distressing or traumatic over the course of each person's life is extremely prevalent in the general population, but even more so among essential healthcare workers and first responders. Research has shown that prior to our professional lives, a minimum of 62% of adults experience at least one adverse childhood experience, also known as ACEs. ACEs are defined as the abuse, household dysfunction, or neglect impacting a child's safety. This can include divorce, mental illness, suicide or a suicide attempt in the family, violence at home, substance abuse, or any physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. For some of us, just because we are removed from the situation doesn't mean it can't or won't impact us in the future. With highly unpredictable professional roles, these things are likely to resurface in ways that we can manage if we learn how. Similarly, it can be difficult to recognize how our professional experiences may elicit a response tied to prior traumatic experiences. These responses to trauma can consciously or subconsciously show up in our thoughts, emotions, and/or behaviors. But again, these situations and reactions can be difficult to unpack. So let's briefly talk about a few types of experiences that can be helpful in understanding the challenges you or someone around you might face. There is often a range of responses to traumatic experiences, and the timeline of these reactions may also vary from person to person. A single traumatic event is often referred to as acute trauma, but even these seemingly insignificant events can trigger post-traumatic stress. First responders and emergency personnel frequently report experiencing multiple, repeated acute traumas that occur over time. These repeated experiences can lead to what's called chronic or complex trauma. When someone is exposed to a variety of traumatic events or experiences, complex post-traumatic stress can emerge, which tends to further disrupt our relationships, our self-concept, and our emotions. Frontline workers are particularly vulnerable to repeated exposure trauma, which is a cumulative effect of regularly caring for those who have been wounded or in distress. Many know this as vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue. Vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue can result in a burdensome variety of unique challenges if these stressors are not well managed. What is most important about the idea of labeling these experiences is that we then have the ability to develop more awareness and understanding of the types of resources we might need. Additionally, everyone has varying levels of resilience in how they respond to traumatic events, which can easily be enhanced over time with the proper tools. We don't want to wait until aspects of life are significantly deteriorating as we run the risk of greater damage to ourselves and those around us in bearing the weight and burden of a potentially much more destructive outcome. With your role requiring such balance and control on the job, learning more tools and skills to balance your mental health and wellness will help you gain control in these areas that we see cause the greatest harm. Next, we'll talk more about specific warning signs and how to use this awareness to assess what you are currently doing to support your mental health and wellness. Thanks for being here.